I just want to thank you, everybody, for joining us today for our first Mimosas and Pastries event. This was born out of an idea that David and I had started, and we were talking about doing something that was going to be fun and interactive, but also get our participants involved, and also to be able to eat yummy food. And so we are just very, very happy to have you here today. Thank you for taking time out of your crazy schedules to join us. I know that with the whole COVID experience and everything that's going on right now, for you to take time out of your busy schedules is amazing. And we also wanted to gather a community of lawyers and bring each of you here today so that you can get to know one another. And then so there will be networking afterwards. My name is Cherish Dela Cruz. June and I have these events. We have lawyers who lunch every month at Southern First Bank. And this is an extension of that. We want to make sure that everybody here participates and that you enjoy yourself. I am an estate planning and business succession planning attorney here in Buckhead. I live out in Gwinnett, but most of my clients are all over Metro Atlanta. I help families and small businesses create life plans that prevent unnecessary stress and create a legacy for their loved ones.
June? Morning, everybody. I'm June Carlson. I'm with Southern First Bank. We are a community bank located in Buckhead. We are 20 years old, founded in Greenville, South Carolina, and we lead with service. We are a small bank that provides loans and deposits to our clients, and we have a large portfolio of lawyers and law firms, as many of you know. So welcome, everybody.
Everybody, I'm David Hearn. Appreciate all you joining us, and I know people are starting to get zoomed out, so we hope our incentive was enough to entice you to come back, and appreciate your time this morning. I'm the founder of SoFair Advisors. We assess, amplify, and achieve the business value that you and your clients desire and require to pivot to other life goals. So we're a business valuation and exit planning advisory firm. Father of three. I've got little ones who hopefully you don't hear here shortly. And I also reside in Gwinnett like Cherish. In fact, that may be how we first met. And yeah, I appreciate you all being here. So yeah, Cherish and June were gracious enough to give me a couple slides because what I do is a little unique. So I liken, again, I'm assuming everyone that's a participant right now is an attorney. I analogize you guys to kind of what it's like for a patient going to their primary care physician. You're doing a lot of different things for them in general. Now I know some of you may be niched in your service where you may be a T&E attorney or a family law attorney or a litigator or whatever your kind of niche service is, but oftentimes I see you guys do a lot of broad-based stuff for business owners and people. And so I liken me to more like a specialist version of that doctor. So as you're triaging and figuring out what's going on with your patient, there's going to be situations where your skill set may not be enough, right? So many times we have to partner to help, really save the patient with my analogy, right? So business valuation tends to be one of those areas where you guys may, in a Charlie Brown, Lucy type analogy where, they've got problems that's going on and for them it's a material financial decision and they're uncertain on what to do. And so obviously you guys want to structure something for them and keep them happy and all that. And so many times you guys will partner with someone like me to help give them that clarity that they need and you need to keep your client happy and keep your fees down as much as possible. So the client feels like he or she's getting what they're looking for to make the right financial decision with their business. Next slide. So the only other thing I wanted to add, these next 3 slides I'm going to go through super fast. What are those times when where a specialist is needed, right? Where the doctor makes the handoff, or the attorney in this case might give someone like me a call. So there's lots of examples. I've tried to box, the volume. Generally, there's three big areas. This is kind of what I call the compliance bucket. So generally, things for accounting or tax. It's nice because it's required. You don't have to. It's not like we're upselling the clients. It's more we just have to get this done, and we have a certain deadline. So this would be geared towards the tax attorneys if we have any in the group. And then the next slide is really a transactional type bucket, where this is what I call amicable though transaction. So it could be a buy-sell agreement trigger. It could be we're doing an amicable partner buy-in or buy-out, exit and succession planning. It's something where there's a potential transaction, either of a piece of the business or the whole business. And then the final bucket is really where I call it unhappy valuation. So the first two were more happy valuation land, where your client, you're saving them money, you're keeping them compliant with the government, you're helping them execute a transaction either to buy or sell. And so, but those are more fun for the owner. This is where it's not so fun, and emotions are riding very high. So I call it kind of like the 5 Ds, disagreement, dispute, divorce, disability. So unfortunately in my world, we do a lot of divorce, both marital and business, and then shareholder conflicts happen all the time. So that's why you see my quote, the only ship that can't sail is a partnership. So oftentimes an attorney might bring us in to help be that neutral arbiter to help them mediate what's the right answer. But even if we can't get to an agreement, many times we're headed to court, and I, may have to explain and testify to a judge and be cross-examined by some of you fine people on why our answer is right and why it's fair and all that.
Great. And so we are right now going to, and bear with me, this is our first poll. We're going to have several polls throughout the webinar, just to make this as interactive as possible. And so if you could vote on these questions right now, so that we can have context as to how you're feeling, and then also where you get most of your clients. Okay, and I have to thank Donna Lang, who she taught me how to do this during one of her presentations, and so okay, great. All right, okay, I think we've got a few more people to join us in voting. So everyone is feeling okay or great. I know during this pandemic and everything that's going on with the protests, and that's influencing how we're feeling. And so we want this to be a safe space that we can talk and chat candidly about what's going on. And then in terms of getting your clients, it looks here like most of the clients that you're getting from are referrals from other attorneys. So, today, make a point to reach out to some of the other participants who are on here. I think it's really important to collaborate with them. And then also your professional network. It looks like there's less of social media and the internet. And so, so I know that a lot of people are, doing things like this, trying to connect with one another, build actual relationships with one another, so that you can refer these clients. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about a little bit about today is having a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. And so with me, I'm completely into personal development books, coaching and all of that. And so one way that has been very strategic for me and that has been helpful in building my business and getting clients is holistically planning for my client, but also partnering up with great people like David and June. And so, in terms of that, when I'm looking to strategize and develop an idea, I'll go to my key referral sources like David and June, and we'll brainstorm together. One of the things that has been also very useful is having an abundance mindset. And so, as you can see here on the slide, is, instead of saying, hey, there's only so much out there. And especially in a time like COVID, where you may be feeling that. You may be feeling like, okay, business is down, the economy is tanking, everything sucks right now. And, I'm going to lose all of this business because I'm in the real estate industry, or I'm in a business that relies heavily on the cycles of the economy. And then it's also, thinking to yourself, okay, it's great. I hate collaborating with others. I fear competition, and nobody can do it like I do. And I want to, as lawyers, we also want to control a lot of the things, but also having the mindset of competitors in the environment, and then emotional, having the emotional intelligence to say that, and the knowledge that, other people are, just knowing other people.
I was going to share that, I appreciate the fact that my company really celebrates the abundance. We are very client-centered, and it's about the team, and it's about partnering, and it's about collaborating. It's not about selling something. And building relationships, to me, is the most important thing. Everybody wins when we all help each other and focus on our clients.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I would think net, based on what the first question was in the poll, maybe things aren't as bad from a revenue perspective, and if not, and maybe they've been better, right? And so, to me, the need for partnerships to continue to provide great value for your clients in whatever arena you're in, to me, has only gone up. Anytime there's uncertainty, your clients are looking to you and us as advisors to help them weather the storm. And there's a great quote Guy had mentioned on a Zoom meeting I was in, where he was basically saying that it was a sailing analogy, where you can't really control the direction of the wind, but you can control the direction of your sails. But I think by forming these partnerships and doing this type of planning, the better you'll be, and the better off your client will be through those partnerships. So, great segue. So yeah, it was unintentional, but again, like I had mentioned earlier, the types of service we had done, and just to show you, again, I'm kind of like a guinea pig here as a specialist non-attorney, finance numbers type guy. Again, on every service that I provide, there's tons of opportunities to partner with, you participants, where, on the base where I do most of my work. To me, there's a lot of buckets of needing attorneys. We need litigators, in that disputes kind of context we talked about. Family law could fall into that, although there are amicable divorces. T&E and tax specialists are needed all the time on the compliance side. And then kind of what permeates all three are business, corporate, and M&A attorneys. And obviously exit planning and brokering are clearly M&A motivated activities, but valuation and the question of what your company is worth comes up in all kinds of economic cycles and all types of contexts. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to partner, with attorneys and other advisors.
Next slide.
So as an example, again, just using kind of me as a guinea pig, this is an example where it's kind of like the typical one way towards me, where, and I'll use a real example. So this is one where Cherish and I teamed up, where she had a client, let's call it an architectural service firm, and they, were a 3-partner firm, and one of their partners was going to be bought out. And so they were looking to her to execute that partner buyout. But as the background, these same three people had acquired the company from a former owner, probably the original owner, and they did not have an attorney that partnered with a valuation specialist. And what ended up happening is they actually overpaid, and it saddled the company with a lot of essentially liabilities. And so they were worried about doing the same thing on this round now, which is why I think Cherish had reached out. But it was great because it also, so she's there to make sure we get the terms right. I'm there to make sure we're getting the price right and they're feeling good. But there was a whole another third tier, which is, well, how's the company gonna, pay for this? They didn't have just, a ton of cash to sit there and buy out this partner. And so it's a great example of how just something as simple as an amicable partner buyout still took 3 or 4 parties to get to that successful client outcome that the architectural firm was looking for and looking to Cherish, really, since she was kind of the hub on that.
And one thing that June and I have been able to do at this point is we both came up with an idea last year. And that idea was creating this Lunch with Lawyers program. And it was just born out of us discussing how we can use our network to tap into, to introduce one another. Because I think a lot with networking, it's, you want to make you want to have the biggest impact with the least amount of time. And June and I love to throw a party. And we love to do things like this, where it's very interactive, and we love to bring people together. So one of the ways that we have done this was create a monthly Lunch with Lawyers program. And generally the way that it works is we'll go to her beautiful Buckhead office, and she'll sponsor lunch, and it's just having different people come in and speak. So we have had people speak on a growth mindset. We've had people speak and coaches speak on, operations, taxes for law firms, things that are useful to solo and small firms that would be helpful. And what we have found is that the people who are there really want to engage. They like the interaction with lawyers. They like how it is something of use to them and that they can walk away with a practical tip. And so that part has been wonderful in that respect.
Well, and Cherish and I love connecting people, so it gives us great joy to sit at these lunches and see the lawyers meet one another. And many times they're small firms and they're sharing best practices. They're getting each other's numbers. They're connecting later. It's just a wonderful way for lawyers to network. We keep the number at 15 so that we can make sure that everybody has a seat at the table, and it really is more of a collaborative conversation than it is kind of a lecture environment. And whoever we do invite in to speak or be our guest speaker sits at the table with us and has lunch, and it's just a very comfortable, relaxed team approach. I know a lot of you that are on the line have been part of that, and we appreciate you coming and collaborating with us. We plan to continue this in July, and we're not sure whether or not it will be a Zoom or in-house. We're going to kind of ask you how you feel about that, but we have really enjoyed these lunches, and we look for an invitation from us and maybe a little questionnaire for July.
Right. And just one thing that also in terms of partnering that has been useful that I did want to raise is when I partner with joint venture partners like David and June, I'm looking for some key things that are key takeaways. How do they work with me? Is their style similar? And it doesn't always have to be. So someone might have more attention to detail, someone might be more of the ideas person, but how do they execute? And in terms of execution, will get a sense and a flavor when you partner with other people, instead of just going to a networking event. When you partner with them, you understand their style and how they potentially will treat your clients. There's this saying that the one way the one way you do something is the way you do everything. And so, I know with June and David that attention to detail is key. I know that, June is, about bringing in the people. And with David, it's accuracy and details. And so when you joint partner with someone, you can learn all of these things. And you can personally say to your client, that, hey, I've worked with this person on this endeavor, and I know that, David, as he's doing his valuations, he is going to pay attention to the details. He's going to pay attention to those things that are key in evaluation. And with June, the same things. So it's a different way of learning about your referral sources. So the next slide that we're going to is being of client-centered and of service to your referral partners. I know that David shares this philosophy in the sense that, and June as well too, but being servant leaders. How can we be of service to you and to your clients and to your potential referral sources, and then also how you can be of service to the community. I know that for all three of us, that those are key factors in that.
Yeah, and just to build on to what you were just saying, I mean, I can't agree more. I feel like, you got to give to get in this world. And sometimes it takes a long time to learn that lesson. I was just on a ACG webinar the other day where a championship football coach who's won multiple Super Bowls and multiple Canadian football championships. And that's exactly basically a lesson that he didn't learn until he was 50, where he viewed his players as chess pieces, and it was all about the scoreboard. And so, he took him to as late as 50 years of life to learn that lesson, and it changed his relationship with all his future players, and obviously his business outcomes in terms of being a successful coach can only blossomed even further. So this slide really is again more as a case study, if you will, of again how earlier I had mentioned how attorneys bring me in, but this is kind of how the reverse, right? Going back to partnership and the importance of that network that June and Cherish were talking about just a minute ago. And I've got several examples, but just one to highlight. So recently we got it was actually a Google lead. So one of the few, I know we did our poll and we put, social media and stuff like that was kind of the lowest percentage, which is true for me too. But this came from again, just what I call a rando. It's not a very PC way to call it, but based in Wisconsin, they do farming type, ag type work. Very prototypical Wisconsin, and they've already agreed on evaluation even. So it really was just helping them prepare for this ultimate exit, and really to serve as a connector more than anything else. And so 65-year-old owner, and through some simple due diligence, we learned he didn't have basic estate planning documents. And these days, with a threshold so high, now it's more, a state-specific exercise, again, my opinion. And so we had to pull in local counsel to protect him during these 5 years. Hell, even, COVID, right? Like what happens if he gets on a ventilator kind of deal. So we had to pause, on anything around the business to really help him get some of his personal, risk management house in order. So again, there's a lot. I know a lot of people think of valuation where it's more attorneys point us in, but we can actually be inside with customers very early than most. And so there's a lot of opportunities for us to pull you guys in. I've had, I know I've put divorce here. I've had clients that have confided in us, that's what's going on. And so they've sought counsel. Same thing on acquisition. The craziest one I've had is where I was hired by the seller, and in due diligence with the buyer, it was an internal sale. So they're both, basically essentially partners. I realized he didn't have counsel. So I was actually in a position to connect the buyer with, counsel. So, again, I think I'm just highlighting and beating an already dead horse of the critical, need for partnerships. And I think opportunities like June and Cherish talked about earlier with their program is a great outlet to do stuff like that.
And so right now we're just launching another poll, but, we want you to start thinking about, because hopefully, after this presentation, you'll have some tactical things, even if it's one or two tidbits that have been helpful to you. But just as things are coming in now, how are you of service to your referral partners? And I think in this, especially now with the whole COVID situation, and then reaching out to other people, how are you of service to them? Is it a note? Is it brainstorming ideas? Is it buying them lunch or dinner? And then, what are the creative ways that you can be of service to them? Because of service can mean multiple things. It could mean on a personal level. It could mean on a client level. It could mean just being a resource. If I have a valuation question, the first person that I'm going to call is going to be David. Or if I have a banking question, the first person I'm going to call is June. And having those people and those touch points will be, is important. And so, looking here, one of them of being of service is referring them clients. But that's the typical way. So, think of another way. One thing that I love to do with all of my network, and, and I'm always free to do this, is brainstorm business ideas. And I love to eat as well too, but, buying them lunch or dinner, but just brainstorming or even brainstorming business ideas over lunch or dinner. But think of creative ways, because people, you have, June, David, and I all have different experiences. And so, brainstorming from different multiple perspectives. And then also, I know that a lot of the people that I know that are on this call, that are business attorneys, but like brainstorming ideas, people want to share those ideas. And it's the foundation of building a real relationship.
And we've really had to change some of this, right? With COVID. I know buying lunch or dinner is a really big part of the way that I network. And for the last 8 or 10 weeks, nobody wants to get together. So it was important to sit and think, how am I going to connect with everybody? Because I don't want to disconnect. I want to keep this going. And we talked as a bank, and coming straight down from our CEO, just pick up the phone and call people and tell them that you're thinking about them. And that's it. Help people stay connected. And I think that served all of us well, Cherish and David. Just, we can't do it the normal way that we usually do it. How can we stay connected to our network?
Right. I totally agree. And then this is just my piece of it. This is a marketing piece I've used for my law firm, but this is how I collaborate with others. And so generally these are CPAs, financial advisors, insurance agents, business attorneys, other transactional attorneys that are bringing me in, exit advisory teams. But really this is my process, and how can I collaborate with others? This is the client, and the client is the focus. But, building your own unique way of doing that. I've been fortunate enough to have wonderful, wonderful people in my network. And I'm so especially with everything in COVID, to be in gratitude to everyone that I've met during this stressful time. And, it's been great. The client is the centerpiece of all of this.
So I'm going to breeze through these, but again, we try to be very client focused at our bank, and we offer products and services for lawyers personally and professionally for their practices. Next slide. These are all solutions for your business, and we offer all the bells and whistles, if you will, that the larger banks offer. We're just bankers, though. We're trying just to handle loans and deposits for our clients and not sell them other services. But it's important for us to be able to collaborate with those people so that if the need arises for someone to create an estate plan or someone to plan an exit strategy, I have someone to refer that to. Somebody that's leaving a big bank and has investments and they need an investment advisor. We don't do that. I have to refer to somebody else. So it's important that I have these centers of influence so that we can be client focused all the time. One thing I want to focus on this slide is we've got remote deposit capture listed under business services. We also allow you to use mobile deposit for business. So for the law practices that don't have a lot of transaction volume, we let you put it in on your phone. We try to make it easy. We don't have a lot of rules around how you can get your money in the bank.
And I just want to speak to that as well too. Like I bank with June, and it has been wonderful in the sense that I used to bank with SunTrust and Truist, and it was horrible experience for me. And the fact that I couldn't do mobile deposits, it was very, very frustrating because, you know, as a small business owner, you know, I'd have these, you know, different checks if they weren't being directly deposited. And then there were different frustrations that I would, you know, in terms of operations when you're dealing with a bigger bank. Whereas I could pick up the phone and say, June, this is what I need. And she was readily available.
Well, and I think with all of us, you know, we're providing a service and we need to know our clients and we don't want them to be a number, and we try very hard to do that. And our biggest question to anybody, wherever it is that you're banking, is who is your banker? You should know that person's name. Your banker should not be the name of a bank. You should have a person that you can call. These are just some of our personal banking options, but I'm going to leave it with the next slide in that we were really proud that we were able to fund 100% of our PPP loans that our customers applied for. That was a really tough time. I know everyone on this call had an experience with that, but we know all of our clients here, and we chose to help our existing customers. At the end, we were able to do a few more loans, but I think that we worked really hard to make sure that we focused on our clients and were able to get them the funds that they needed to be able to keep their employees and keep their practices going. So next slide.
Oh, wait, I just want to make one comment on that. Just from personal experience, June was able to, you know, at first June was able to secure my Paycheck Protection Program loan within 3 days. And then I had funding the following week. And so having that service and having that resource is you know, it's key. And then also I know that they were personally able to fund the Paycheck Protection Program money for other people in my network. And so to be, you know, the fact that I was able to introduce those people and those people were able to benefit from that service because of that introduction, you know, it warms my heart. And then so another key strategy is, you know, educating and empowering your clients, but also your potential referral sources. And so I do have a poll around this, which is, let me just figure this out. And the key strategy number 3 and 4, but it's the same, but if you can participate in this poll. But it's really knowing what your referral source does, and then your ability to convey that message to people that you're referring them to. So,
I've always asked my the people in my network to give me a paragraph or a one-pager that I hang on to, so that when an opportunity arises, I can quickly send that. But it's not just sending off an email piece of paper. It's that I have vetted that. I understand what they do. I understand what their pricing is. I know we've got some small solo firms on the line today. I'm not going to send you to King and Spalding if you have a small legal matter. I need to understand what you need and where to go to get it. And that's really important. I'm sure we've all received a referral that really was not vetted, and it's just not a good feeling when someone sends something to you that then you have to turn around and send somewhere else, when if you just had the knowledge on the front end, you could have helped that person right away.
And I think the foundation of that is a real relationship. So
Right.
really knowing them, and it's not a one-time transaction. So what I've seen, and also what I've experienced before is, you go to a networking event, you say you're gonna, you go into your whole spiel of, hey, this is what I do, what do you do, how can we help one another? But then there's no follow through on the back end.
Right.
No like real relationship that's developed. So you really don't know what makes them tick or what actually motivates them.
And I think it's important along with that to know that, to Cherish's point, when you go to those events and you meet all these people and you're collecting all these cards, you can have too many. And you have to be careful not to spread that net too wide, and keep a close group of really good relationships of people that you want to work with your clients. And, for me, working in a bank that doesn't sell investments, we have a lot of investment advisors call on us. And I mean a lot. I mean 30, 40 people. I can't have that many people in my network. I can't vet that many people. And I think we have to be careful of that as we're out trying to meet potential referral sources. It's important.
And just to that point, I'm going to do another poll here. Here where it says, do you know who your referrals source's ideal client is? So it's great. Like a lot of you know who their ideal client is. And do you know their pricing? And so I've been more cognizant of asking these questions of people because I want to do a matching up process in the beginning, so that it's efficient, it saves time, and then you get to really know them. You need to kind of know what their hourly rate is, how much a typical case would cost a client. So, just going back to the King and Spalding example, you're not going to send somebody who is a small business client with limited resources to King and Spalding, and so it's just a matching up process. And you could have multiple people in your network that deal with different ideal clients. So, you may have somebody, from a financial advisor perspective, somebody who only deals with $2 million and up, and vice versa. But then how about the clients who only have $100,000 or more? I come across those people. And so it's knowing, what motivates the referral source, and then what would be good for this potential client to refer them to. And then in terms of the last strategy is creating a network of key centers of influence. And so here it's, just as we are doing today, I mean, I look at David, June, and I, we love to network. And so I think this was part of the reason that we brought to do this together. And it becomes a running joke between David and I as to, I saw you at this event, or, you're really busy on LinkedIn. And it's just, it's all fun. It's great, but, know who your centers of influence are. And that doesn't mean that this is like, the completely extroverted person. I think all of us are pretty extroverted on this panel, but just really knowing who can connect you with the right people and whether or not they share the same values. I know David's going to speak a little bit to this.
Yeah, so this actually is kind of my core COI group. I mean, this is, my business, it's probably 80-20 rule, like most things in life, where it's an indirect referral channel from a revenue standpoint and a direct channel. So that Google type person I mentioned earlier from Wisconsin, that's the minority, that's the 20%. 80% come through relationships, through everything that June and Cherish has just outlined on the last few slides of You know, sometimes I feel like people are kind of like cars where, you know, once I bought my Kia, all of a sudden I saw Kias all over 85. They were probably there the whole time. We were driving right by each other, but I had blinders on. And so sometimes I feel like networking can be like that too, where all of a sudden when I get introduced to, you know, a financial planner or whoever, and now all of a sudden I see him playing in the same sandbox as me. He was there the whole time. It's just, you know, it's kind of natural. You end up going to where your friends are. You know, as soon as you walk in the room, you don't want to be that guy that's just fumbling with his keys, or that gal that's kind of, you know, pulling out her phone or whatever. But the point of what I wanted to show on here was, again, I don't know what everybody here does that's an attendee, but I would venture to say that at least some of this list is very similar to possibly your list, with you know, with other attorneys and types of people I've worked with. And so again, it's a two-way street, where we've got to do a good job at, you know, like Cherish had said, you know, get to know you, not just professionally, but personally. I feel like even when people have met and they move to that kind of one-on-one state where June was talking about doing, you know, lunch and dinner, I still feel like too many convos stay at the, you know, 2-inch level around, and generally around professional. But all I can tell you is that there's strength and weakness. And the more that I've shared about my weaknesses and things as crazy as battling infertility, which has opened up all kinds of conversations where we're not even talking about business. And it's that kind of vulnerability and openness and willing to put yourself out there. And I'm always willing to go first, you know, and sometimes that helps loosen people up, you know. I know we come to the Buckhead Club, we're in our nice suits, you know, we're trying to have this image. But look, you know, the real world isn't the Facebook image. It isn't the hot dinner and the beautiful beach scene. You know, the real world is tough. Main Street is hard. And, you know, we all have similar issues. We all have faced similar stuff as parents. And we have way more commonality than we do differences, which I think is important to state in light of what's been going on, you know, especially, you know, with racial stuff going on lately. And so unless we go deeper on those relationships and have that servant leadership attitude, you know, it's hard to overcome some of this stuff.
And then just a little, you know, June, if you want to go into this, and I'll talk a bit about further.
So about 8 or so years ago, we formed this group of women. It's called the Women's Introductory Group, and we nicknamed ourselves the WIGs. But this is a giving group. This is about women in business that are trying to grow their business, best practices. Your personal life kind of intertwines in here too. We're trying to develop business, but we try to help each other. And it's not about, you know, there are these organizations out there that you have to go with a slip of paper and give a referral every week. And that's forced. You can't always do that. This is identifying who needs something and how can we help them. So we had a completely different approach to this. 8 years in, we've been very successful. We host events together. You can see in the pictures a lot of us being together at different things. Cherish joined us a couple of years ago now, and we just really like to connect people. We do a lot around everybody, but also lawyers. You know, it's important for lawyers to connect with each other and network with each other and have that abundance mindset. There are some people on the call that really do that very well. Donna Lang puts together a mastermind group of attorneys that just work on helping one another. It's not a competition. Some people do the same thing. Cherish and Kristen, both estate planning lawyers, have worked in a group together and to collaborate and help each other. Again, the abundance mindset. During COVID, Catherine Burmeister put together every other Friday just a Zoom phone call, happy hour, if you will, that was mostly attorneys just discussing what was going on and how they were doing. It was both personal and business, but it was just a joy to, you know, be invited, because I'm not an attorney, but also really sit and understand what was going on with everybody. And Catherine didn't care if people were in the same practice. They were all going through the same thing. So again, it was the abundance mindset of trying to help and trying to connect people.
Right, and just speaking to that, I mean, I know that there's a couple of people who are on here where Tanya, Ramsey, and Emily, you, but we have upcoming webinars together. So those are joint webinars. It's tapping into both of our networks and actually utilizing that and leveraging those relationships. And then, the webinar I did with Emily Yu, that was on moms working during COVID. And during that experience, we were able to get to know one another. She had some really creative marketing ideas, and it's another way of adding a dimension to that relationship. And so, as we've said before, it's been fantastic especially in times of crisis, and the pandemic, the things that are going on right now, what David spoke to about the racial inequities, and just reaching out, and I think it's good to have that ability to have hard conversations with your referral sources. And a lot of people in my referral network have become dear friends. And then, it's having those connections that deepens that business relationship, but, also keeping you top of mind.
One of the things that I like to do, and this is probably elementary, but before I have a meeting with anybody, I always look at their LinkedIn and I try to find connections. Some of us, I would say, Cherish and I are very extroverted. We could probably talk the paint off the wall. But everyone's not like that. And so to David's point earlier, it's fun to find something that you have in common with someone. And that's part of building relationships. It's not just selling somebody something. It's not just a direct referral. It's getting to know people and what makes them tick and how do they network. And because we're all different, and it's important to remember that we're all client focused, and at the end of the day trying to help our client, but how we get there is important in building those relationships.
And we're just wrapping up our presentation part. If you want to stick around to ask any questions and network with one another, I thought I knew how to do breakout sessions, but I don't. But feel free to reach out to any of us. David's going to talk on the next slide, but you can schedule a one-on-one with any of us. This is my Calendly link. I also have a newsletter. And then, join us for our Lawyers Who Lunch program. The next one is going to be in July. And then David, if you want to do your little
real quick, because I know some people got to run. Like Donna had asked early on if about pasting contact info in the chat box. We'd rather, unless you're against it, which please let us know if you're if you're not comfortable. I think our plan would be to share everyone's contact information. So unless we hear otherwise from you, don't worry about pasting it in the chat. We're going to share everybody who was a participant and all that. But yeah, kind of my call to action is kind of, let's live what we've been talking about, right? I'd love to get to know any of you. If you simply text the word valuation to 63566, you'll get my V card, you get a link to my Calendly. You're already going to get our contact info, if not already from the pastries bag, but also I think we're planning to send the slides, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Yeah.
I want to know who's sipping on Prosecco right now. Oh, Emily is.
Okay, good.
Catherine finished it.
Okay, good. All right. Does anybody have any questions? And then we will open it all up after. So if you need to jump off, but we want to thank you all for attending. But, if you can't stay on for the networking portion, we definitely are going to do this again. And hopefully we're going to do it in an evening kind of capacity, I think. But I think it's important to connect our connections. And this was pretty much an invite-only event. And so, we just want good quality people to connect together. And so, if you're interested in learning more about our next events or how you guys can connect with one another, stay on. If not, we're going to share all of the email addresses. think that's it. And then I will unmute everybody. Oh, was there another question? Oh, Aaron, allow. Did you have a question, Aaron?
She's muted. Oh, there we
Am
go.
I unmuted now?
Yeah, yes, you're fine now.
No, I was really just raising my hand that I was enjoying my Prosecco. So
Oh, okay. Good. Well, yeah, and I hope you enjoyed all of the treats and everything.
I love the talk. It was great.
Good. And then so we will be able to chat with one another. And let me just.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks.
Hey, Brian. Hang on.
Okay. Were there any other questions or?
No, it doesn't look like it.
Okay. So I am going to allow everybody to talk, and we're just going to go around and introduce ourselves if you want to, and then if not, just unmute, or if you have to drop off, definitely, drop off, and that's fine. But, we're just going to do like brief introductions, and then you can raise your hand. And then we can just really talk to you.
Daughter that fills in some of those details that you sent me, so that if she just wants to sign what I write, she can do that. If she wants to write her own version.
Okay. June, do you want to start the talking?
The introduction?
Yeah.
Okay. I have already introduced myself. June Carlson with Southern First Bank. Thank you all for being here today. Cherish, I'll just run down the list here and start in the order of my screen.
Yeah.
So first we have Erin Stone.
Well, I think Erin might be on the, or Erin, are you allowed, can you chat me? I don't know if she's.
All right.
Yes.
You can.
Hi, this is Erin. Sorry, I had to step off.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
What did I miss?
Oh, okay. We're just doing introductions now. What do you do? Yeah.
Sorry, are you on me? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, so I'm Erin Stone. I'm a family law attorney with Bovis, Kyle, Birch, and Medlin. And I don't know what else. I'm located in Dunwoody and represent men and women in their divorce cases, child custody, child support, division of property, alimony, all those good things. So that's what I do. And I know June because she's on the board of ProWin, and I'm the president, and I talked her into it.
Oh.
and what else? I don't know. That's it. And Emily and I actually are collaborating on a case right now too, if she's still on the call.
Oh, awesome.
I am. I'm here.
Okay, great. Emily, do you want to go next?
Sure. I am also a family law attorney. I have my own practice. And I would say that I probably typically handle more contested child custody cases. And although they drive me nuts, they are probably my favorite part of family law.
Wow.
Yeah, I like the crazy. But I want a
personality disorder, and I'm super happy.
And then who's 470?
5029, last number is me.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to mute that one. And then John.
I'm John.
Hey, John. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks.
Did you want to introduce yourself?
I'd love to. I'm John Soleil, Adams Hemingway, Wilson Rutledge down in Macon, Georgia. It's kind of split my time between Macon and Atlanta, but we don't have an Atlanta office. As a firm, we're general corporate and estate wealth management. It's And again, we kind of have a statewide practice. My bread and butter is banking, financial institutions. I like kind of the bank regulatory side. That's how June and I met when I was in-house with State Bank about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago at this point. But that's what I do, and do for banks and small businesses. And glad to be on here, and I'm still waiting on my pastries and mimosas.
I owe you one, John.
Thanks, John.
I appreciate it very much. Yeah.
Catherine, do you want to?
Sure. My name is Catherine Burmeister. I'm a personal injury attorney in Atlanta. I have clients all over the state, actually. I set myself apart from other personal injury attorneys by really leading with integrity, professionalism, and a holistic legal approach to how I represent my clients. So I am the only attorney in my practice, but I have a team of 5 working with me. But that allows me to have individualized relationships with my clients and help them get to a better position than they would have otherwise been if they didn't have representation when they've been injured.
Awesome. And then Laura.
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
Hi, Laura.
Thank you so much for giving me a seat at the table, so to speak. I really value that and appreciate that, so thank you. I'm a real estate closing attorney and mediator in East Cobb. I'm a solo practitioner, and I am celebrating my 10th year of practice, and I can't believe it.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great. And then Ramsey.
Hey, I'm Ramsey Knowles. I'm a business and real estate litigator. I have my own firm with a partner, John Gallant. Knowles Gallant is the name of our firm. John does real estate transactions, commercial real estate transactions. And our firm model is basically John and I spent the bulk of our career at big firms and went out to create a firm that provides the small firm experience with the good parts of the big firm experience, which is kind of a little more sophisticated business litigation and transactional approach. So that's kind of our target client is somebody who's likes the big firm service, but is for whatever reason looking for a little more personal approach.
Great. Thanks. And then Robert.
Hi, Cherish. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, so Cherish, David, and June, thank you for letting me be a part of this. It's been terrific. Even without the Prosecco, it would have been great, but that was a great touch. So I'm Robert DiBenedetto, an advisor with Bernstein Private Wealth Management here in Atlanta. So I partner with professionals who work closely with business owners, entrepreneurs, and multi-generational wealth. I recognize that the 3 people leading this call are leaders in their respected spaces, and I'm sure that everyone else joining on the invite list serves in that capacity as well. So, I look forward to networking and connecting with everyone on the call, hopefully after we get the contact list, but just really appreciate this creative effort to get people together in such in unusual circumstances.
Great.
Thank you.
And then Tanya.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you very much for having me and for the treats. I really appreciate it. And for getting this together. I am a business transactional attorney. I have my own solo practice for about 3 years now. Prior to that, I was an in-house attorney for over 20 years, my entire career. So I have kind of a different perspective on the practice of law, having never been with a big law firm, just always been in-house. But my practice is focused on helping clients start a new business, some small M&A, nothing that requires a whole team of lawyers, but small business M&A, and general contracts of every kind of variety. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share, and I look forward to networking some more with the others on the phone. Thanks.
Rob Swartwood. I recently started a new business-to-business law firm here in Atlanta called Concilium. Similar to Ramsey's practice, Ramsey Knowles, I'm a large firm refugee, and I finally saw the light about 3 years ago and decided that I would take the skills that I acquired working for large law firms to help smaller businesses. So I work with small and middle market businesses, mainly doing transactional work, buying and selling companies, but a whole host of other kinds of transactions in between. And similar to Ramsey and also Tanya, who does similar work, I try to add a layer of sophistication and expertise and skill that can get work done professionally and quickly without breaking the budget. So thankful to be included among many fine participants, and great program, guys.
Well, we just want to thank you again. I wish I knew how to do the breakout sessions, but that will be the next time. Hopefully we can meet in person in July, but we're just going to have a wait and see approach. Is there anything else that you wanted to add? Did I miss anybody? I don't think I did.
I don't think so.
Okay. But did you want to add anything, June or David?
No, just thank you everyone for coming, and I really hope that you'll use this opportunity to network with one another. We will send out everyone's contact information, and hopefully we can all get together in person here soon. And I hope that you will join us for Lawyers Who Lunch. We'll get that invitation out one way or the other, either in person or on the phone.
Thank you. David, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, same kind of comments. Appreciate everyone joining us for our Zoom, and always happy to do a one-on-one with everybody, and let us know how we can help you, and look forward to seeing you soon in the flesh.
Thanks. All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.